Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with the weekly news and review for October 22nd, 2023. We've got some great news. Of course, we had Tfcon, we had the third-party panel, some great stuff in there. Wasn't a lot, but what they did show was pretty good. We got a special chase figure coming from McFarlane, and as if it's not already hard enough to get the new stuff that they put out, now there's a chase in addition to the hard stuff. And then Thundercats is going to be getting a new comic book. I got a few things to say about that. And then we've also got some GI Joe news, some Mezco, a few other things going on with GI Joe. Then the whole Wasp is getting released next year. They're assuming they're just going to get this Giant Man through. Maybe it was something to motivate Giant Man to get funded. We'll talk about that. Then there's this Turtles of Grayskull crossover. I'm going to share my thoughts on that. I'm not really going to go so deep into every little aspect of the few reveals, but I'm going to show what's out there and what's coming. And then there's a little bit of Star Wars news. I mean, when I say little, I can't emphasize how little. Anyway, we're going to talk about this and more coming up. Alright, starting out with what's new at Show.Z. Some of the stuff that kind of catches my eye, I'm going to share with you. This is the FanToys FT44 Thomas Astro Train. Yes, this official one. No, it does not have the flight stand with it. $149.99, so $150. This thing is a pretty good value if you've missed out on it, or if you want to pick it up. That's almost the same price they were selling the KO for. They also have for FanToys the pipes, the Brawn, the Recolor Astro Train, the Hoist, the Chomp. So there's a lot of stuff going on for FanToys. Also, the Gigapower God Enter Swoop is the Chrome version in stock right now. These things seem to cycle around every 2 to 3 years. Figure I'd give you a heads up on that. And the thing is, I just recently reviewed a KO oversized version of a Grimlock, and it looks really good with that one too. So anyway, these are some great things to check out. There's also 2 other Gigapowers on pre-order. We're going to dive right into the Tfcon stuff. This is the dealer room. This is the Double Evil toy color. These are what's being shown as either a prototype or just displayed in hand. Then we're going to get into the third-party panel right after this. Here we go with the learning. Anyway, this is a pretty cool looking set here, and I'm sure it's going to combine with the other one, Dreadwing. And then this is an Armada. Is this a Jetfire Armada? I don't know my Armada very well. Still looks pretty cool. It's some good stuff that they got going on right now. And then this caught my eye, and I think this is one of the better things that we got to see at Tfcon, and it was actually prototypes of what's coming up for X-Transbots. Now, at the top, you can see they're working on their Defensor, and this is the Legends Defensor up top, and right next to it, we have the alt mode for the first of their Devastator, and then down below we've got the big old Defensor for Masterpiece, and seeing how it's coming along, it looks pretty good. I'm sure it could pose a little better than that, but trying to squeeze it in a DTOF-esque kind of case is probably a challenge. So with that, I'm pretty excited for what's going on with this and this set, and everything looks really good. It is pricey though. It's KFC's Power Master Prime, and this is showing the actual figure in the chest in its prototype mode instead of just the cardboard, and that does look good. It's so tempting, but yeah, it's tempting. It's expensive because it's in 2 parts, and each part's like $150 to $200 each, but it does look really good overall, especially if you had this back in the day and then always wished that you could articulate it like a real figure. Now you can. Then they had this, is it Road and Fury, something like that? Fast and Fury, showing kind of a smattering of different prototypes and test shots, and as it's coming along, so this is coming along rather well and rather quickly. They're going to be moving fast with these, and I really think X-Transbots moves very quickly with these Carbots. Down here we get the next Omnibot up for prototyping, and then I'm not really sure. We're going to see a little bit of this other Starscream kind of thing going on here in Legends scale. So that's up in the picture presentation. But this is what I think is the most important, or probably the biggest deal of the day, in my opinion. Out of everything that we're going to see, this is the biggest deal, and we're going to see a new Ironhide and Ratchet coming from X-Transbots. They look very solid. They look really good. I don't remember ever seeing teasers of these like an old mold. And so when I look at it, I kind of start trying to analyze and think, is this something that's modern engineering? This isn't an old project being revamped like their Dante, I believe. So I believe this is something that's new, not an old shelf item. But then again, it could have been one they just haven't talked about. But really exciting. We need this, and it looks to be the best version out there. And you know what? The fact that X-Transbots is doing it, guess who's probably going to be putting out some sort of teaser pics pretty soon. Just want to do a quick close-up on the torso. This is the actual prototype, not just renders. And you won't see any real renders in the slideshow. That's why this is the most important thing to look at. I think it looks really good. Just fantastic. Especially if you just take a little bit more time with some posing and all that. But these are prototypes, so I don't really know how the level of delicacy that you have to have with these prototypes. And I'm sure that they have to really be careful. So judging the posability and all that kind of stuff this early on is not something you can do. And this was an MMC thing, and it was something grins. I thought it was really cool. It looked like a Joker, a Transformer Joker. Pretty cool. So without further ado, this is Mechanical Skull Studios. This is the one that's going to be putting out this, is it an Armada, some sort of Starscream? And we see this at the Walmarts kind of sitting around. So the product name, MSS01 Cirrus, the slowing. And it's made of ABS, a Palm PC, and size 10.5 centimeters. So this is Legends scale. And let's see what the alt mode looks like. Looks pretty good right there. Pretty good alt mode. If you're collecting this stuff in the Legends scale, you're going to be picking it up. Then, yeah, it looks like a good one. And then they're getting a start, so I'm assuming they're just going to make all of this era in Legends scale. Then we get to see what's going on with KFC, and they've teased us with this, so we've seen a lot of this already. This isn't really super new, but it's more pictures of what's going on right now with their Dinobots, which I believe they're all going to combine too. We see something here in a bit, but there's a lot of them. I mean, just like they did with their Predaking, this is going to go out. Is it still considered a Volcanicus with this many? This is crazy. But it's really cool. I mean, this is interesting that they've done so much with it. Here is what I think is a combined mode of it, and I'm not sure. I really am not sure at this point with all the stuff that they got going on. This could be another iteration of their Predaking, but I'm thinking this is what they got going on with that. But what I'm sure about this here, this is a Slipstream. This is their MakeToys purple version, and I hear it sold out like fast, real fast. And it does look good. It's a cool looking figure, and it's promising that an old mold like this, just because it looks so good and it's the coloration, all that it's sold out so fast. Here's the alt mode of it, and that does look really nice, striking. We've kind of seen pictures of, hey, we knew it was coming, we knew this was on the list, but it does look good. So, another company called Robot Toys, and they're going to be making some Legends scale Beast Wars, and I guess we're starting from scratch on Beast Wars. We're going to start at the beginning with the basics. And really, that's kind of what every company does, and they have to do. You start with the Prime, you start with Megatron, so start with Megatron, and start with the Prime. That's just how it goes, and we'll see how these go. They don't look super classic. They look a little bit stylized in a way, and that way they can be a little bit different, and say they're a little bit different. Metaligate putting their, stuff we've already seen. So I'm trying to not dwell on stuff we've seen. I tried not to pick stuff we haven't seen, but I was thinking these might be more updated photos than we saw last week, but I think they're the exact same photos that we saw last week. Just slightly different dimensions, I guess you could say. But this is that triple changer that they're working on from the movie, and there's I remember this exact picture last week, so we won't dwell on this too much longer, but I think both modes look really good. Everything I said last week still stands. Great looking figure, triple changer, and the first one to do it with this character. But they're also working on this guy right here, which looks pretty good too. And Metaligate, I have one of their figures, and I think it really does Feel good in hand. It's got heft and quite a bit of paint on it. So they do quality work. I don't know about these because I haven't handled them, but they look pretty good. Now, getting into, we saw this last week too, but these are better pictures that we saw last week. And this is kind of the black version of the Unicron. Looks fantastic. If you say you've got maybe a HasLab Unicron, or you already bought the first one, it would be good to get this one. I'm not sure if you've missed Unicron the first go around, this would be a good replacement for it, but it still looks fantastic if you want to go in on this. The first one looked great too, but I'm just starting to think, how many Unicrons that look exactly like Unicron do you want? It's nice to have some color variations, and you get it with this. And then of course we get the Cybertron, looking great. Definitely a good looking figure, and with that, both modes look good. You know what you're going to get. We know what we're going to get because we already have the Unicron. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. And then here's the head, and it transforms into this. Looks good to me. I like that. I mean, I like that little function. And if you were the fact they put the helmet over it, you can't tell it transforms. So that's awesome. Iron Factory, they got a few things they're showing. So it's not like last time where they had 80 offerings, felt like. This is the IF EX72 Chaos Blaze. I think it looks really cool. All the flame effects that are on it. So Iron Factory does their stylized take, and they do things different. And I'm going to tell you, this is something completely different, and that is awesome. With that transparent clear. The only thing that would make this even cooler is if it had LEDs, but it's too small, in my opinion, to sport the LEDs. And here it is on fire. It's a flaming tank. Pretty cool. They're also showing their Samurai Series Inke. So it's kind of like a sideswipe, looking cool. And a really awesome looking alt mode. So these real kind of stylized alt modes that they make look fantastic. That's probably the coolest part about their designs, in my opinion, is the alt modes looking something crazy. It's kind of like this. Like this might be the future of what we get when we're forced to buy a Tesla. There should look like that in the future, right? Okay, so getting into New Age, the only thing I'm showing from New Age is the Age 61 Triton, and the reason is because we've seen everything else like 3 times, so I'm not really going to show those again. I showed them last week. This though, I got to thinking I don't have one of these. I missed the Magic Square one. And there was another one that was Legends that I didn't bother with. And this looks really good. And I gotta say, Magic Square New Age is kind of back and forth. But if New Age's design is good and their paint's always amazing, then they absolutely kill it. So I think they will with this. Then we've got X-Transbots. So we're gonna go through a slew of X-Transbots, and we have seen this before, but it looks like they're kind of changing up their symbol there. It's MX. I never knew that stood for Master X-Transbots, but anyway, it's MX, Master X-Transbot. This is the 05S Shattered Dante, Shattered Glass kind of thing. Now, they're going to take their Punch Counter Punch or their James Bond, and they're going to make it into a whole lot of different color iterations, and that's cool. Obviously, we know we're going to get the repaints. I didn't know we were going to get this many, but it looks good. I'm not going to show every single picture, but I am going to kind of give the gist. Here's the bot mode of one of them. Then here's the alternate bot mode of one of them. The good guy and the bad guy and all that. So it's kind of cool. It's a great look. I don't have mine yet. It's still on the way. But I can't wait to take a look at it. Here's the yellow version. Racer type. And it's the 26Y. Pretty cool there too. Now these are usually limited to 500. So that's not very many. When you think about 500 and there's like 30 distributors, so some might only get 10 of these and others might get 50, but when they're usually getting 400 figures and a 500 run, that's not very many. Here's Y, the other version of Y. It looks pretty good. And then this is W, Pacer type, and he's kind of got a gray with it. And then there's a red one. There's a blue one, a gray one, a yellow one, a red one. And here we go with red. That Fiero looks good. And then here's the bot mode of the red. And it's interesting that the thighs are red. They're just like a burgundy red. And then we're going to get into their Tear Down, and then we're getting into their Devastator, which looks very interesting and very promising. And devastating, there's 3 Devastators we're looking at today. And then here is the alt mode, which looks fantastic. It looks too good. It makes me wonder how many steps and parts and pieces and what it's going to take to get from this to what we just saw. That's my problem. I have a problem. I have a problem. And then this looked good too, which this is usually accomplished the same way for the most part in every iteration of these. I hope it's still, there's no reinventing the wheel here. And then we've got the Gravedigger, and everybody's questioning the knees on this thing. How do the knees work? It'll be interesting to see. This is just render, and they didn't, bring the line in on it, I guess. Here's the alt mode, and it looks pretty good. And I thought it was really strange that they're giving us the triple picture. I love these. Just slap a picture up there and talk about it. That's nice, instead of having to go through multiple pictures. And they're all pretty easy to see. This looks really good. Coming out of reviewing 2 Legends Devastators pretty much at the same time. And that was quite an ordeal. I'm looking at this and it's all still fresh in my mind, thinking about what it's going to take to get here. And then there's Big Load. This is kind of where my mind wasn't on task here or on point. I didn't realize this guy was going to be this big. I was thinking Carbot size, and I'm sure we saw pictures of how big he was in the past. This is big. This is this big. And then his name's Big Load, so I guess it makes a lot of sense. And the truck's big. So there's a lot of space, a lot of mass to this guy. And then we got a picture of the back of Ron. There was like a whole video. I guess they didn't show the whole video. We didn't get access to the whole video. You just had to watch on the panel. Here is the Team Contractons. Contractons? That's what they call it. Anyway, this is kind of showing you pretty much the whole team and where they are, where they're going. I'm pretty excited for this overall. Then here is the combined mode. So this is nice too. I mean, obviously it's just a render. We're not there yet, but it still looks very good. It's very G1-esque. It's got a little bit of line work to it, and it's minimal, but it looks right. And actually, I have to admit, X-Transbots always nails the look. Here's all the heads, head options. It's wild, it's crazy. It won't be cheap, that's for sure. Getting into FanToys, they've got some cassettes, and they look pretty good overall. And we're starting out with this one here. This is their take on Overkill and little dinosaur. Looks good. I don't know that did KFC make this one, because if they did, I'd never picked it up. So it looks pretty good. Gonna have the die-cast and the paint. Then, of course, this is their take on... This looks like Slugfest to me, but it looks yellow instead of greenish. The Slugfest, I know, is a little greenish, but that looks really good. I like the way that one looks, and I'm kind of hoping... I'm hoping they keep them simple. They've been pretty simple overall. This is the Auto Scout, which is kind of an obligatory thing at this point, but it's still really cool that they're going to include it. And then we've got to have Buzzsaw, so there he is. Looking great, and I think a lot of people were upset that it was omitted from the first set, but they had plans, obviously. And then they planned to give us a Rat Bat, but not with the set. It is with the repaint of Soundwave into Sound Blaster. No surprise, no shocker there, and you have to do that to get the Rat Bat, which I have to admit that does kind of suck, but it's just kind of what Takara did. What you get. It is what you get. It's a good looking figure though, and they're gonna do a Devastator. It's devastating that they're doing a Devastator, but there it is. They're doing a Devastator, and it's almost like this is a rough time to make a decision. It's almost like, hey, the first 2 went so well, everybody's going to just trust us and buy these. I don't know. I really don't know. And it's really going to be hard to pick this one over X-Transbots. X-Transbots has already delivered 2 years ago a combiner. And they still haven't finished one. It's a tough one, but don't worry. You have till 2025 till this comes out anyway. Here's the alt mode. Looks nice, and yeah, I mean, it looks nice. They always nail the look of their figures, and at the end of the day, once it's all over, I guarantee that the combined mode is going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. It's going to work, but it's at what cost and what price. And then here we go with this. I shouldn't guarantee anything, actually. I mean, we just don't know these days what's going on. It looks nice. All the different angles of the stuff. And then here's the leg. And it looks to me like they're going to do a more or less all-in-one. There may be some connecting parts, but it looks all-in-one to me. I may be wrong, but this looks pretty good. I think that Devastator is one that could be built all-in-one, but I don't mind at all having some parts because I want it to be solid. That's all I got to say. And then it's big. Yeah, it's big. They're trying to show their size right next to their Galvatron. Which their Galvatron's not the tallest figure in the world, but it's still big in liter scale, and it's almost there. This Constructicon is almost there. And, I mean, almost all of us have a sound wave. All the sound waves are about the same height. So this is as big as all the sound waves that are out there. So, pretty big. And then we get an MMC with their Voltron bot. So this picture looks to me to be the actual figure. We just saw renders last week, so it's good to see an actual picture of the actual product. It's also good to know that this sold out, so good luck finding one. If you, I want one, but I don't know if I'm going to pay $200 for one. It's a lot of money for a Voltron cat that looks amazing. It does. It really does. They could get away with doing all of them, to tell you the truth. They'd all sell, but the fact they just did one as an exclusive, because it's a little bit risky in a way, I understand why they did that. They're doing their Rat-Bat too, but I want to say this. I want them to be very wasteful with that wings. With the wings, be wasteful. Don't be ultra efficient to make this thing too big. I want this to feel about the right size. It's going to be bigger than anything else out there, but I don't want it to feel massively overscaled like their birds did. And I think they might have figured that out. I think they're thinking like I am right now. And then they showed us more pictures of their Defensor and how it's coming along. And I think it looks fine. I think their Defensor looks great, and I think that their everything looks great. But it's just too small. And that's my problem. And there's not a whole ton of diecast in it, so it's not like we're worried about the thing falling over or not being able to support its own weight. That's all some good stuff too. And here's the combined mode. In the combined mode, that's what I care about the most. And it is coming along really well. I think they've done a fantastic job with it. 18 inches isn't bad. It's just not bad. But if everything else you have is in the 21-inch range, it's just not going to work. Unless you want to prop it up on some blocks or something. Put it up on some blocks. And then they're reissuing this guy, if you missed it, so you can catch back up if you want to get back on it. Get on it. And this guy right here. So they're doing a pretty good job. I think they look great. That's where I'm going to leave it. And then we're getting into Devastator. Another one. I think their Devastator's going to look great. But it's going to be 18 inches. And we're going to see that picture here in just a little bit. But looks really good all around. 3 Devastators to choose from at once that all are going for tune. Maybe you could say almost hyper tune. I do feel like there's a little something missing or lacking in the waist area. Because it is all in one, the waist area seems just odd. Everything else about this is, I would say, spot on. The waist area, just give me a little piece to clip on there. I'm okay. You can part one little waist piece. Let's do it. Do it! And here it is. Like, all the rest of them look good on the waist, except Devastator. Their Devastator waist, it just looks missing. Where'd it go? And all of them look good, though. And they're all 18 inches, and you can have a great looking set, and they all look great next to Masterpiece, Megatron, and Prime. Alright, so this concludes the Tfcon segment. Let's get into everything else. This is the MDLX Megatron comic book edition from 3.0, meaning this is like the 7 or 8 inch size or scale. This is not the big one. And if you notice, there's some, I think it's in either the commercial or part of the intro, where we see Megatron with his head looking like this. And with that, that's from the comics. And it's from them not having a lot of other source material to go by. so they used that. And it's pretty cool. It's cool to get the little one-off stuff. It's fun. And Robosen showed off this stand. Now, we were wondering about this stand, and a lot of people were explaining to me that own a Robosen, that when you don't have the power to it, that it doesn't stand on its own, and that's why you need a stand. And with that, I guess it makes a lot of sense. So he has a stand so that he can be displayed standing when he's turned off. I assumed he would just stand there when he was turned off. But it's the power going to the actuators and all those kinds of things. I guess the servos and all that. I guess that's how it works. I don't own one, so I don't know. I didn't know the plight of owning one of these. But now I see why. And it looks good. You can have all these different poses if you want. And then it has some ports and plugs, and it can do a few things like that. Anyhow, the stand's up. It's out. In-hand picks and release information. I don't see any release information or even pricing, but it says it's has a dedicated power source ready to accept voice commands and do a pose, battle scene, and more. In addition, the base also has adjustable lights and comes with Amazon Alexa built in. So if you're interested in this, then start looking to pre-order this guy. All right, well, I guess we have another one of these 3.0 Deluxe Ultra Magnus. This is the bigger one. It's not the smaller one, and looks pretty good. If you're interested in this one, it just seems to be a repaint of Prime for the most part, in my opinion, and I don't see much different about it. Limited to 30 pieces starting from November 24th at 9 a.m. HTK. So, HKT. That is strange. There's only 30 pieces, $229. Well, get on it if you want it. Alright, I don't have any more Legends news other than what we saw from Tfcon. And getting into some mainline, this is pictures of the Beast Wars Silverbolt. I think it's a cool character. I look forward to it. I'm definitely going to pick one up when I see one in the store. Not pre-order or anything. And that's all I got to say about that. I'm sure we're going to see a Masterpiece one eventually, but that does look pretty cool for the mainline one. And Beast Wars fans are getting a lot of good stuff these days. So I didn't even cool off yet at Tfcon, and they're already talking about NJCC Christmas Shopping Action Figure Collection event on the 9th and 10th. And with that, it's going to be another one of those events, just one after the other, so that's pretty cool. Comic book and superhero toy show. Hopefully it goes really well. I won't be at that, but it'll be interesting to see who's there. I mean, NJCC will probably see Hasbro and them set up there, I hope. Alright, speaking of Hasbro, they are going to be at some sort of an event in London, and it's going to be a Hasbro panel, and they're going to reveal on October 28th, because there's a 27th event, but on the 28th they're going to be revealing those studio series. I got some stuff to say about this. Why does this even matter? Why even show this? Because at the PulseCon, the reveals were lackluster. They did sell out of, I think, a Windblade, maybe one other figure, but for the most part, I guarantee you they didn't get the results they expected. And they are, since that day, I guarantee you they've been scrambling to put together something for this event that is going to be a little bit better, not as lackluster, and will get the results they expect. So I expect to see some cool stuff. It probably won't knock our socks off, though. Don't be too excited. Don't go too overboard. But I think they're going to be pouring a lot into this because that was a very lackluster showing at that PulseCon. I mean, except for GI Joe. I'm seeing GI Joe in here. GI Joe was pretty solid during PulseCon. Alright, transitioning to other news. I do want to quickly point out that MMC still has her Great White up for $125. And I just want to point out that when they take it off the $125, it's going to be $178. You see at the top left there? And when all the people were ordering, say, the Marshall, like I did, when it was $69 and not $99, and some of the other things, if you can look down, that the Ramen Racer, when they hit their Ramen Racer goal, it's going to go up to $250, and you can still get, and at the bottom, I don't think you can see it in this, but you can still get Apache Commander, and you could get the, it's Max, basically, and Phantom Foil. You can get those at the discounted price, still on sale. So a lot of Motu news, and I'm just going to talk about this, then I'm going to give you my thoughts on the other stuff. But the Walmart store exclusive Stranger Things Skeletor and Demogorgon, Now that's the Skeletor and Demogorgon is going to be Target, and then the Necrocondo is going to be Walmart. So the one on the left, Walmart. The two on the right, Target, and we thought they were all going to be Walmart. That was kind of what we all thought. Now and that kind of looks like the same tail that they used with that other Mattel Creations figure, Lady Slither, that I missed out on. But cool looking set. I'll probably pick each one of them up. All right, so here we go with some figures that is Eternia crossing over with the Tmnt, and I'm not going to go into every single one of them. The Krang's even cut off in this picture. We're going to see some carded stuff too here in a second, and it's interesting, it's cool, but I got to tell you that I think that only the hardcore Motu collectors and maybe the hardcore Tmnt collectors are going to be in on this. I don't think that the casual collectors, and I'm a casual collector of both these lines. I'm not hardcore on either one. So I'm going to be picking and choosing mostly what I see in the store that catches my eye, which means I might miss a lot of this. But I'm pretty sure it'll all be in the store, I would hope. Leonardo, Donatello, Man-at-Arms, and He-Man. And there's the packaging. That's what it's going to look like. I really think that they're doubling down on this, and it's probably not going to do that well. I don't know if it's going to be a Walmart exclusive or any of that kind of stuff just yet, but it is a little interesting. I will pick some of it up, but I'm not going to be a completist on this, and I really am starting to lose interest in the main line because of all the repaints and all this kind of stuff, because they're rebooting it before it's even over. I mean, it's that classic conundrum. I hate to admit it, but they're running into the same problem that Scott Knightley said they were going to have. They're not going to be able to go deep enough because they just either have to keep putting the main characters back out. They can't put the deep cut characters because they won't sell, and that is a problem. And unless they just put the deep cuts on the Mattel Creations. And these aren't even deep cuts. These are just completely brand new, made up rehashes. And I know hardcore collectors are super excited about what's going on right now with this crossover. Something that we've never seen before. But the good thing about that is that they spend a lot of time looking at all these pictures and point out stuff like in the background of this, you see a slime pit. It might be the only way we get a slime pit, right? Or it might be a pre-slime pit mold. Who knows? But it is a Shredder slime pit. Cool. And my problem is, I'm not really I don't like the squatty build of the figures so much. I really was only trying to complete just an Origins line, call that a day, and then go back with some modern stuff. But now we're getting everything in sort of the squatty kind of body mold. Anyway, we'll see what happens with this. Alright, so we're getting this Lord Deathman. I still haven't got the first one, let alone a Chase glow-in-the-dark variant. I gotta tell you, if all I find is the Chase glow-in-the-dark variant, I won't need to bother with the standard one, because I think this looks really cool. I really do like this. It feels like the perfect time too. It's a skeleton. It's Halloween time. Coming around. It probably has some sort of meaning in something somewhere. I don't know, but it looks cool. I want it. But we haven't gotten a new figure in almost 2 months at Target, and I seem to miss the small window to order them online. Maybe they're available on BBTS. I should go check, I guess. But I just feel like some stuff you should be able to still find in the store. I don't feel like you should literally have to pre-order 100% of everything you're looking for. And I think we're getting close to that, and that takes every bit of fun out of collecting. It really does. It's hard to get excited. Will you find this in the wild? No. You can't find any of it in the wild right now. But I only look at about 6 targets. The new era of Thundercat comics is here, and being brought to us by a team of writers, Declan Shalvey, and art by Drew Moss, and lettering of Jeff Eckelberry from Dynamite Comics. And here are the designs: Panthro, Lino, Chitara, Wily Kit, Wily Cat, and all that stuff. The reason this is important, it's going to be released in February 2024, is because this line, the whole brand itself, is going to have more legs with it's something, a comic book, something that's out there. I do feel like Thundercats hasn't really had anything in a long while, and yet we're still seeing a lot of product come and go, and a lot of people get excited about stuff. We saw Thunder Tank and all this going on. We saw the Super 7 line, the Reaction line. We saw the Savage line that we saw from Funko. So much stuff that's happened with this with still really no media going on, and this is some sort of media, which is exciting because it will give the brand some legs. So it's pretty cool. All right, so the Legends team, the Marvel team, came out and showed off this figure here, and it's the Janet Van Dyne. Is that what they're calling this one? Anyway, this figure here is more or less the Wasp, and it's not from the movie. It's, I think, the comic. I don't even know. I'm not even that deep into this stuff. But I want to point out that I think they're trying to save the Giant Man project. As it stands right now, there's only 7,100 as I'm looking at it right now. And probably when you watch this tomorrow, there might be 7,500. And there's usually that big bump in the end. But this is the closest cut on a Marvel that is a good offering for the price. I'm not buying it. I don't care. I didn't buy any of the other Marvel stuff. But Marvel collectors that want it will get it. If this doesn't fund, I don't care. Except for the fact that people that wanted it won't get it. That's the only concern that I have. But for me personally, it's not going to bother me. But I think this, if it doesn't fund, it means something else. The short version of the story is there's just too many HasLabs, too many crowd funds in a year, and there's way more spillover in collectors than any of these companies understand. They know it, but they don't understand it. And you can't shell out for 8 crowd funds a year and keep up with all of them. It's just not going to happen. All right, Mezco. Mezco's coming out with a 1/12 scale Duke, and I don't really like the look of it. It's $100+, probably 112 or something. I don't even know the price. It didn't show the price. Expensive. They're always about at 112 or something like that. And I don't think it looks that great. But other people might think it looks really good. And we might actually see something different by the time it comes out. I think the head sculpt's the worst part of it. And if you like it for the soft goods, you like the soft goods. The other thing is you get all these accessories. And this is just one picture of accessories. But I'm not in on this, and I usually don't go for the Mezco. And I usually feel like their look doesn't look exactly like the source material, like the cartoon or anything. They go for a little bit of their own style. So that's kind of what's going on right here. It's not appealing to me, but it might be appealing to a lot of other people. And the His Tank should be arriving, they say, by the end of the year. I have not got my shipping notice yet. I heard people have, but I haven't. And here's what I think is going to happen. If you pre-ordered or backed it earlier, you're going to be getting yours shipped first. If you were like me and you waited till almost the very end of it, then you're probably going to be one of the last to get yours. And I wait till the end because I don't want to front that money. I know you're not spending it till it's over, but for me, I'm always on the fence on these for a little bit, unless I'm super excited and I'll back it right away. But I do want to say this. We're getting inundated with these HasLabs and stuff. But I like the way Hasbro does it better than Super 7. I like not having to pay for it until we know it's funded and it's over. Not, I paid for it now, it's still 2 more months of funding, and will it fund? I don't know. Game going on, but the money's already gone. So I don't like that at all. I like Hasbro's way better. And Hiya Toys is making what looks to be like an exact replica of the classified shrunk down, but it's not. There are differences. I mean, we could side to side of it, I could point out all the differences, but it does have the same feel and vibe. It does not feel at all like what Super 7 would deliver, and I kind of like the look of what Super 7 would deliver better than this, even though this does look cool. It's really interesting, and it's something different than what we've been getting. $25 for a 3.75 inch figure, and a lot of people are out there saying 3.75 is dead. For the most part, there's not enough collectors to support it, and we'll see how Hiya Toys does with that. But I still like the 3.75 inch scale. All right, in Star Wars news, Paploo's on sale for $16. I feel like an idiot for paying full price. I'm a freaking idiot. Now I can get it for $16. I might add that to my cart and ship it with a Megatron. I don't know. But I gotta say that we're gonna see a lot more of this stuff. A lot of stuff that is gonna be on sale, and that's a good price. $16.99, so $17. And that's pretty good on Paploo. The Ewoks, I thought they sold like crazy. I guess they don't. And over at Jedi Temple Archive, they showed the Nielsen streaming charts for Ahsoka. Just kind of get an idea of how Ahsoka did. And in the short version, I'll cut right to it. Ahsoka had 570 million minutes in their episode 7. I guess it was the last episode or episode 6, sorry. That is about 150 more than Andor in millions, and about 300 behind Obi-Wan, and about 200 behind Book of Boba Fett, and about 300 behind Mandalorian. So they are second worst. I didn't think it was a terrible series or show. I enjoyed it. I really do think that everybody that came on board Star Wars from Rebels loved this. And with that, that made it a good show. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I thought it was okay. Compared to some of the other stuff I've watched, it's not that bad. So I have no interest in watching it again, though. And if that means anything, well, I think it means a lot. Alright, so let me know what you think about this week's weekly news in review. What else is going on out there? What do you think about all the Tfcon stuff? What do you think about all the Motu, Tmnt, crossovers, all that great stuff? In the comments below, like and subscribe to Hanger out.